Joining us now, a senator from the state of Kansas, Dr. Roger Marshall, is on the phone. Sir, good to have you back with us.
Vince, wow, what a plot. So first of all, this just wasn't a neurologist. This is a Parkinson specialist. These people are very, very rare. Why would a Parkinson specialist come to the White House 10 times in the past year? Who are they seeing? I mean, if I was trying to get you in to see a neurologist, it would take 6 months. This Parkinson specialist, they're hard to come by. They're very focused. And even what the president said there was just contraindicated by the White House this afternoon. The press secretary is saying that he was indeed examined by a neurologist in February. So Joe Biden doesn't even know what year it is. He doesn't know what state he was elected to be senator. There's something going on here.
And the lies are coming out fast and furious right now, aren't they, Senator? Because it seems like with each passing day, whether it's in the White House press briefing room or it's coming out of Joe Biden's mouth himself, they're lying so aggressively as more and more obvious questions get asked.
Yeah, and this is a conversation when you're with doctors. There's 11 or 12 of us up here. We sit here and we talk about, well, what type of Botox did Nancy Pelosi get last week? And we talk about, well, what do you think Joe's diagnosis is? And Parkinson's been at the top of that differential for several years. I don't know if he has Parkinson's or not.
Among the doctors in Congress. So people understand. You're talking about the dozen doctors who are in Congress, the Republicans. You've all been suspecting Parkinson's.
Exactly. It's at the top of the list. If you look at even just the change in his walking from November to now, he's had this shuffle for 2 or 3 years. But now, instead of everyone normally walks, their heel hits the ground first, and then their toes. Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. But now his toes are hitting the ground first. He has something called bradykinesia, very slow kinetic movements. He has periods of freezing. I could list several other things that looks like he has some form of Parkinson's. Now, I don't know if he does or doesn't, but let's get a physician that's examined him, a neurospecialist. Let's get them on the air and say, yeah, examine if he doesn't. If there's nothing to hide, why is this any different than if a president had a heart attack or a stroke last week? Wouldn't we want some type of follow-up saying, look, we've done the MRI, we've done the CAT scan, we've checked the cardiac output, they're good to go. Just a minor heart attack. Okay, great, a minor heart attack if there is such a thing. Why is a person's cognition not as important as other things? So if there's nothing to hide, they should come clean. Obviously, they're hiding something.
When Lloyd Austin the defense secretary, was hospitalized, it became a national scandal because rightly the press and the American people felt that they were entitled to details about such an important position and a medical crisis there. Meanwhile, with Joe Biden, we don't even get to hear from the White House doctor. Kevin O'Connor has not once appeared before the press. What does that tell you, Senator?
Well, he doesn't want to appear before us. Now they're finding out that he was even involved in some financial dealings with the Biden cartel. So he's been asked to appear in front of the House. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. If you were writing the script for Hollywood, you could not make it up. It is that deep and that thick. So if he's part of the Biden cartel, the Hunter's financial family, he's very motivated to keep Joe right where he is, right? So I think he's compromised as well, or at least potentially compromised. And I know these are lots of accusations, but so far it just seems like every accusation we've thrown out there has come to be the truth eventually. So we just we don't trust him right now. We don't trust him 1 ounce.
This Parkinson specialist that we're talking about, his name is Dr. Kevin Kennard. He works at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. He's an expert, again, on Parkinson's. He's visited the White House. The New York Times says 8 times in 8 months. You mentioned 10 times. There's some dispute, I guess, on the subject, but it's been a lot.
Okay.
And he keeps on coming. The White House claims today, Karine Jean-Pierre insisted, well, thousands of military personnel work at the White House, so there's no telling who this guy was coming to visit. Is it your experience, Dr. Marshall, that specialists like this will make office calls to random staff members at the White House, or is this unique to the president?
Boy, this would be a very unique situation. I've never heard of a neurologist, let alone a subspecialist, making house calls. And I couldn't imagine that there's a person working at the White House that needs that type of attention. I mean, they would go to that doctor's office. There's something there. It just makes no sense to me. Like I said, it is hard to get anybody into a neurologist. There's a huge shortage of them across the country, and specifically a Parkinson's neurologist. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It quacks like a duck. It smells like a duck. It looks like a duck. So here we are.
So we see the physical limitations that may come from that do come from whatever condition Joe Biden has. If it's Parkinson's or anything like Parkinson's, what does that tell us about his state of mind, and how concerned should we be that the president of the United States has those limitations?
Well, I think that America saw that on display during the debate. Maybe he just has sundowners. Maybe he just becomes incompetent every evening, which is still a bad thing. We don't always get, as a physician, you don't always get to pick when the baby's delivered, right? And neither does the president. It's the toughest job in America right now. I think the surprises to me is, number one, is the family would let him go out there and do it. And number two is the left-leaning media seems surprised. I wasn't surprised a bit by his performance. This is what it looks like to me building up to this moment. I think we all should be very, very concerned. Concerned, can he do the job right now, let alone for another 4 years? Which brings me to start talking about why. Why are they keeping him in here? And it's because they don't have anybody to take the role. There's nobody that they have that could pull any better than he did. That's because America is rejecting their policies. They're rejecting the policies of an open border. They're rejecting $4 a loaf of bread, $6 a gallon gasoline. They're rejecting boys and girls sports, all the things, their wokeism. America is rejecting the policies. They don't have anybody to replace him. This is the best they've got.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing. And, this is one of those sagas where I think people of all interest in politics, maybe even not interested at all, they're all talking about it because they're seeing how explicit the lies are on this subject. And if they're willing to lie about the health of the president of the United States, and now we're finding out so much more about his accommodations that the White House has in place. They give him photographs of every step he's going to have to take as he enters a room. They allow him nap time in the middle of the day. He's only active, they say, from somewhere between 10 a.m. in the morning to 4 p.m. In the afternoon. And we get very limited candid interaction with him as president. All that adds up to, if they're lying about this, what else are they lying about, Senator?
Yeah. And again, it quacks like a duck. I mean, even after the debate, it looked like he was frozen. Jill had to come out there and rescue him. Previous week, President Obama had to rescue him when he's frozen as well. We see it over and over. Now we have NATO coming here today, celebrating the 75th anniversary. And this is the national security issue that you're getting at. What else are they lying about? But regardless, does anybody have confidence that Joe Biden can have a comprehensive conversation about the national security of our country? If you're President Xi, if you're President Putin, you're sitting there just licking your chops saying, boy, we want 4 more years of Joe Biden.
What, in your view, what is the attitude among these Democrats who you work with in the Congress? Because right now it seems like they're not quite sure what to do. There's momentum building to throw Joe Biden out of office, to make Kamala Harris the president. But there's also, Joe Biden, whoever wrote the letter for him this morning, I assume Jill, they come out and he says, well, I'm staying in this race. What's it going to look like a week from now? Are all these Democrats just going to memory hold the panic that they're displaying in national media?
Well, I think that what we're seeing up here is they have formed a circular firing squad. And the last thing we need anybody to do is jump in the middle of it. Let's just let them shoot at each other. I think it's interesting. President Trump is kind of keeping a little low profile on all this. So let's just let him have this week to sort it out. I think this will be the toughest political week of Joe Biden's life. I think if they're going to can him, it'll have to be this week. If they don't get it done by Friday, I don't think it's going to happen. But again, I go back to this. They don't have a bench. They have nobody that would replace him. You think about Kamala and Newsom, they are politically way left of Joe Biden, if you can believe that. They're woke. They believe in big government wokeism. They're progressives. Their policies don't work. I mean, Kamala has promised when she's president, she'll raise your taxes. Yeah. She's going to borrow money, spend money, and rinse and repeat. That's going to drive up inflation. Americans are not nearly as dumb as the Democrats think we are. I think we've got it figured out. They don't have anybody to replace him, and that's why they're stuck here between this rock and a hard place.
Yeah, even in that letter this morning, whoever wrote it with Biden's name on it says that he's the best candidate to take on Trump. In other words, they're implying Kamala Harris would be a weaker nominee for the Democrats, which is which is true. That's they told the truth there. Senator Roger Marshall, sir, thank you very much for your time today. Good to have you with us.